Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have been providing North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 30 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, 7 years and running. As named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter, the team from GulfCoast Financial Services, founder and CEO John Kuykendall with us, as always, providing guidance and insight on what we need to be doing and paying attention to with our money. And today, John, a fantastic top 10 list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement.
Oh, that's right, Peter. The 10 steps that everybody needs to take to get ready for retirement. You know, so many people just retire and they don't think about it ahead of time. They just, they wing it, and we don't need to procrastinate. You can do this at any age and you can follow it and keep it going. But I'm really excited about this list and really excited about what we have to bring to everybody today.
Winging it for retirement doesn't sound like it's a fantastically successful option. So let's follow these 10 steps, ladies and gentlemen, and we will formulate the plan and have a high level of confidence in our ability to retire and maintain that standard of living through following these 10 steps and crafting the plan. So let's get into it. If you would like a copy of this list to go over on your own time, or if you would like to sit down with John and the team from GulfCoast Financial Services, pick up the phone and give a call. They'd be happy to provide you with the list, and even more valuable, go over your plan, your situation, to make sure that you've addressed all 10 of these steps on the list. 386-755-9018, the number to call. That is 386-755-9018. So John, top of the list, number 1, define your budget.
That's right, Peter. What we need to do is figure out how much we're spending each month. And in order to do that, we need to go back maybe a year and kind of work through a zero-based budgeting. Remember, that was something I think that Reagan brought out, zero-based budgeting. So we go back and we find out exactly how much we're spending. And then we figure out, from that, we can figure out how much we're going to need. We don't need to go into retirement guessing at how much we're going to need per month. If I'm going to have a plan, I need to figure out how much my monthly expenses are going to be and then work up the budget. I noticed you laughed at my analogy of the zero-based budget.
Yeah, I was thinking Reagan introduced it and the government has been following that ever since, right?
Oh, yeah. We really were. Yeah. You know, the problem with the government is their money, they think, is inelastic. So they just spend whatever they want. In retirement, you only have so much money. Yep. And you're going to have to figure out how we're going to spend it. And you know, we talked on one show, I think it was a Halloween show, about how candy, you know, Halloween candy, we don't want to save up and only give out one piece every time somebody comes and then have 3 bags left over. And so that's what you don't want to do with your retirement. You don't want to spend so little that you don't enjoy yourself, and then you die and you leave it to the kids who are going to spend it and enjoy it, but it's not going to last, you know. So work up that budget and let's worry about how we're going to spend our life.
Just last week, John, I was digging around, pulling grocery bags out of the cabinet. I was getting ready to take them and go dump them and recycle them. And lo and behold, there was 3 bags of Halloween candy stashed back there. So I had stored them in the wrong spot, and I'm paying for it now. Yeah, a big bowl of Halloween candy sitting on our kitchen counter here in the middle of spring. So number 2 on the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, define your sources of guaranteed income. John, a very important step, knowing where the money is going to come from.
Well, that's true, Peter. And that's one we always talk about on our show, is having guaranteed income, a predictable, reliable source of income coming in every month, so that you know, because you can't rely on the market every month to pull money out of, or every year. There are going to be down years in the market. So we need to have that guaranteed income source. And, you know, the main thing we need to do too is we need to be thinking about the options on how we're going to take that money. If we're set up so that we can get a pension, we need to figure out ahead of time with human resources how that pension works and how I can take my money at retirement. Am I going to take it over my life, joint life, 10 years certain, or how I'm going to get it? Because it's going to affect the amount of money you're going to have. And so just like Social Security, we need to maximize our Social Security. It is a guaranteed source right now of some income for you every month. And you need to figure out how you're going to maximize it and how much money we're going to have. Once we do that, then we know how much money we've got to make up because we've worked up that budget. And I think that goes into number 3, which is defining your income gap. Now, we've talked about this, and what the income gap is the amount of money that I'm going to need in retirement minus the amount of money that I've got guaranteed that's coming in every month. And then the gap is how am I going to fill that gap? And so the bigger the gap, the more I've got to rely on planning, because I need to make up that gap. I can't go into my 80s and 90s thinking that I'm going to go back to work. It ain't going to happen, I can tell you.
Yeah. I mean, retirement success is really a very simple math equation, is that the income must be greater than the expenses month to month and year over year. The income gap is where that math equation is out of balance. We need to identify that. So we are counting up the top 10 steps to prepare for retirement with John Kuykendall. And again, if you'd like this full list, you're welcome to be in touch, give a call and request it. And you can get a copy mailed or emailed to you, or pick one up there at GulfCoast Financial Services, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. And so, John, we've defined our budget, or our spending, or our expenses. We've defined our sources of guaranteed income. We've identified the income gap. Number 4 on the list is strategize on Social Security, another important factor.
Well, that's true, Peter, because there are some penalties. And a lot of people think, well, I'm 62 years old, I'm just going to take it. But they don't realize they get penalized if they're still working. So there are some strategies that we can still do, even though they've tightened up the laws and changed a lot of these strategies for Social Security. There are some things that we can still do to maximize Social Security. There are spousal considerations and other things that we need to take into place. But, so many people leave so much money on the table because they don't do that. They just think, I'm going to wait full retirement age, I can draw all my money out, I can get and still work all I want. But there may be a way that you can wait till 70 and get that 8% per year step up, but still be able to draw off of your wife if she's full retirement age. So, or your spouse. So there are a lot of different strategies that we work out. We have the software. It's just a shame that people don't plan to use it a little bit more.
Number 5 in our list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement is where all of these income and expense sources sort of all come together, John. Formulate a written retirement income plan. This is actually absent from a lot of people's financial plan or situation or projections, the written retirement income plan.
Well, Peter, I think it's fairly new. I mean, it's only been in the last couple of years, maybe 5 years, that we really started we talked about income, but we didn't talk about an income plan. So it's that income plan takes how much you're going to need in retirement, how much you got coming in, your assets, and then we're going to figure out the best way for you to draw those assets and spend that money so that you can have the best income plan. And you can also, kind of live comfortably knowing that your money's not going to run out while you're in retirement. The worst thing that can happen to a retiree, 2 things. One is they have to go live with the kids, or 2, they run out of money. And I'm not sure which is worse.
Yeah, I was going to make the same comment there. Indeed. And that kind of goes into our next one, understand your risk exposure. So we've got the income plan formulated. We've identified guaranteed sources. We're trying to make sure that the expenses are less than the income each month. We've maximized Social Security. We've got a plan in writing for how to generate the rest of the income that we need. And then we have to understand where the risks may be inherent, where they may hide. Now, when we say this, John, I think everybody first and foremost thinks of the market, especially under current circumstances.
Yes. And that's right, Peter. And, you know, while I'm working, I've got a higher risk tolerance for everything than I have when I'm retired. Because when I'm retired, I'm relying on me and my paycheck each month coming out of my assets to make up for my retirement. When I'm working, I still have time to draw it because I've got, or make it up if I lose money, because I've got a check coming in that will keep me going and I don't have to worry about it. It's amazing how many people go into retirement and they don't adjust their risk tolerance. You know, they just don't worry. We have to look at everything in retirement. You know, your insurance, do you have enough insurance? Or do you have an umbrella policy? If somebody sues you, is it going to wipe out your savings? I mean, those are things that we have to talk about with risk as well as the market. But certainly everyone needs to fine tune their portfolios going into retirement because it's a different scenario for us.
Next on the list are top 10 steps to prepare for retirement. John, calculate taxes. Now, looking back at last year, that is sort of hard to calculate. So we turn all the paperwork over to a professional accountant or a CPA. Can our tax liability really be quantified into the future? Can we get a good handle on what taxes might look like in retirement?
Well, first of all, we know taxes are going up. I mean, taxes in our retirement lifetime are going to be going up. They have to be. The government debt is so huge now that we have to pay it. And as we raise interest rates, we have to pay more on our debt. So taxes, the government's going to need more money. So certainly taxes will be going up. There are ways that we can do things now to help alleviate those taxes in the future through life insurance, Roth conversions, that sort of thing. But then the other thing is that we need to do tax planning, because as we go into retirement and even before retirement, I don't know why somebody doesn't think about this a long time ago, is we could do tax planning every year while we're making money, trying to figure out if I did this, how much is it going to cost me in taxes and how can I maximize the taxes? You know, it's not how much we make, it's how much we get to keep.
Mm-hmm. And it just seems to me so much easier to pay a bill while I am earning a paycheck rather than have to wait and try to pay it out of the limited amount of money I'm going to have once I retire. And again, that may just be a personal thing. And I understand that for the last 30, 40 years, we've been under the perception and assumption and the teachings that taxes will be lower once we retire. I just think we've sort of hit a precipice where they're probably as low as they're going to go right now.
I think when we did that, Peter, we were thinking that, okay, if you were working and you retired, you were going to need 65, 70% of what you were making. Mm-hmm. As we're finding out now, you're going to need as much as you were making. So you're not going to be in a lower tax bracket. And I think that's what's happened to us in our planning is that when we used to say it's going to be cheaper, taxes will be cheaper in retirement, we didn't think we'd need as much to retire. But we're finding out things are more expensive. People are doing more things. People are going more places they want to live. Our lifestyles are better than they've ever been. And so it's certainly, that's the thing. But I think something that hit home with me is, and I was listening to a webinar the other day and they brought it up again. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? Because the seed didn't cost that much. And that's the money we're putting into our 401ks, okay? We're getting tax credit now, but that account is building for 20, 30 years. And then we've got to pay the taxes on that huge amount as we pull it out. So, it's much better to try to do some tax planning ahead and actually do some tax management.
Number 8 on our list of these 10 steps to prepare for retirement, consolidate like qualified accounts. John, why would we want to consolidate accounts as we near retirement?
Well, for one thing is that you might be able to lower cost. There's certainly cost associated with all these accounts. Secondly, we'd be able to get a better idea under one roof of where we are and what we're doing. A lot of people, they have so many different accounts that they don't really manage them or ever look at them. The accounts are there. I left this work 10 years ago. I left that work 15 years ago. I just left my money there and it's doing something. I think it's growing, but I really don't know. And that's why we need to consolidate all that so we can get a total idea of our risk and also our portfolio diversification. We may be invested in the same stock in all these different accounts, which isn't really portfolio diversification.
Those old forgotten orphaned accounts. It's nice that the savings sort of gets done automatically, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, sometimes we forget to do the proper maintenance on those old retirement accounts. So a little house cleaning, bringing it all together. Number 9 on the list here, John, one that we're certainly feeling the pain of here currently. Consider inflation. This is another one where a lot of the traditional plans, kind of the old school retirement models, they really didn't account for this. And even when inflation is not at this current level, we can't just ignore it completely. It's kind of an ever-present factor.
Well, inflation historically up until this year has averaged 3.8%. So you had to use an almost 4% number if you were doing any kind of income planning. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. A lot of people just, put in the amount they need now and they work that out without considering inflation. But, Peter, I went down to the gas station the other day and filled up my truck. And I was amazed that the gas pump cut off at $100. And I wasn't full yet. So we are experiencing inflation. Somebody told me the other day that one of the restaurants in town is charging $1 for a glass of water now. So things are costing more. Labor costs are up. Inflation's up. What was it? Over 7% during the month of February this year. So inflation definitely is something that we have to consider. Now, we don't need to go on the high end of it, but we need to have a 4 or 4.5% number in there that we're willing to throw in there to really see where we are long term.
Gotta include it. Gotta understand that prices go up over time. We've got to plan for it as we intend not to work for decades potentially into the future. Number 10, rounding home here, John, bringing it all together. Review and update those legal documents. A lot of people overlook this. They don't do it, but certainly as we're planning on retirement, a great time to get it done.
Well, it's one of my big pet peeves. More and more people, and all of our clients, we talk to them every time they come in about their legal documents. They put it off. They procrastinate. They don't like attorneys. They don't want to go see the attorney. But they need a will, in Florida, we need a will, a living will, a health surrogate form, and a power of attorney. Those four simple documents are needed by everybody. But you'll be amazed at the horror stories that I have heard because they weren't done. And, it affects families, children, it affects a lot of people. So we have to take time to get those documents. And if you did them 20 years ago, we need to update them. The kids are grown now. You're not worried about them going to your mother. You need to take that off. You need to get your will simplified. It's amazing how many, and not only because of the hassles, but also think of the family squabbles that have occurred because proper documentation and our wishes as we leave this earth weren't made known. And so I've seen families just get totally disrupted. I know you have too. It's amazing.
Yeah. Grandma promised that to me. Oh no, I wanted this. No, I deserve that. And I was told I could have it. Yeah. And John, sometimes the costs and expense of fighting those things out are worth more than the items themselves. And today's society, where we've sometimes got mixed families or divorces and remarriages and kids from different families and different spouses, those squabbles can get pretty serious.
Yeah, they can. And I understand that, having a second marriage now after my first wife died. I understand having a two family marriage. And you want to make sure that you eliminate the problems and that everything's spelled out ahead of time and that people understand what they're going to get and what they're not going to get so that we can move on. I had two brothers one time fight over Mickey Mouse jelly jars because they both wanted the jelly jars. I mean, come on, people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, those Mickey Mouse items are collectibles after all. We have been talking with John Kuykendall today, covering the top 10 steps to prepare for retirement. If you would like this full list to go over on your own time with a spouse, a family member, a loved one, a parent, a child, any could benefit from reviewing this list. Make sure you've covered all 10. But the real value, if you would like to sit down and go over each one of these steps to make sure you have covered it, included it, and addressed it in planning, pick up the phone now and give a call to GulfCoast Financial Services, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. And John, I think you would agree if anybody covers all 10 of the items on this list, it'll go a long way into giving them a higher sense of confidence moving into retirement.
And it'll give them a good retirement, Peter. It really will. So I'm really excited about this list. Love to give it to anybody out there that wants it. And don't forget, Peter, 30 years and counting. We're still going strong after 30. So
30-year anniversary for GulfCoast Financial Services, and they are celebrating there all year, and as they should, because so many have been helped: savers, investors, proactive planners. And if you would like to be among them, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the phone, give a call. Simple first step: just request the list, the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. 386-755-9018. John, as always, a pleasure. We wish you many more years there at GulfCoast Financial Services as well.
Thank you, Peter. It was great being here. Have a good week.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.